G'day viewers, welcome to another super cool, helpful repair video from the Goat Shed, located in Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia. Well, I'm sure that all our viewers would be aware where we are now. So today is Friday, June the 23rd, 2023. It's been raining earlier on this morning and therefore it's not as cold as it has been. It's currently 12 degrees Celsius, which is approximately 53.6 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's around 8:50 AM in the morning. So the other day we mentioned in a video that we received two machines in, a Williams Swinger and a Gottlieb Big Brave. Now we've actually repaired the Williams Swinger. That only had a couple of minor faults and required re-rubbering and a couple of light globes. And both those faults were fairly simple faults. One was the swinger reel in the back box wasn't resetting. That's the one that counts up when you drop it in the hole, and that gives you it's like a score reel. You get 4 swinger reel numbers and you'll get an extra ball, and you get 6 and you'll get a replay. Just simply the run out switch on that wasn't touching real well, and the switch blades weren't touching too well on the fork that controls the opening and closing of the switches. The other fault was fairly easy to deal with. The ball gate, the ball return gate, when it opened in the side lane, it would close straight away. And all that was that there's a roll over there in the out lane so that it shuts that gate when it rolls over it. Well, also the problem was the switch was a little bit dirty and misadjusted, and therefore the hold-on circuit for the gate relay wasn't functioning correctly. So we've done that, we've tested it, being a 2-player game. Played quite a few games and it's pretty good to go. Now, just thought we'd start and we'll show you the journey we're going to take with this Big Brave. It's typical of everything we do on a machine. Nothing's changed, nothing's different. And as you all know, what we like to do now is take this whole mechanism board out of the back box and sit that on the bench. So we're going to do that in just a moment and go over what needs to be done to the machine. Now, we've had a quick look at this and we've found that there's a few things that need to be done. So over here, of course, we have the player unit. Now it's quite sluggish in its movement. Sticking there. So we'll pull that out, and as we do with all of them, go right through it. Then we have the replay. It's sort of going back okay, but it's not stepping forward all that well. It's sticking also. So that, like that. We'll go through each of the score reels, and we've got the famed just down here FS relay, the match relay. We'll go through that. Have to take that out. Remember, these are modular. You've just got to take the two plugs out here, like that, and the clip, and you got the whole thing in your hand. That's one thing they thought of when they did these. They thought, yeah, okay, they're going to be troublesome, these beasts, so we'll make it so they're easy to get out. And thank goodness they did, because they are troublesome. And then we have the N and the L relay to go through as well. So a bit of work to do in the back box. So we've already undone all the screws required. We've taken the screws out of the brackets, and we can take the brackets out. They'll just slide straight out now. They're out, easy. We've undone the screws for these. So what we'll do now, I'll get Graham to come and help me, and we'll lift the unit out onto the bench. So now we have the mech board out of the back box itself, and as you can see, it's on the bench and it's easy to get at and work your way around everything and do what you've got to do. Now we've already removed the match relay, that FS relay, out of the game. That'll get done later. I've turned on the ultrasonic cleaner to let it heat up. And the first job that we like to do is normally take the player unit out. Now, all you have to do is take one screw out up the top right hand corner there. It's got a washer on it generally. The player unit can then hinge. And that's all good. And what we then need to do is we can take it out of the cradle. There's two clips, hold that in. Now we've previously done a video on explanation of player units, how they work and how they go back together. So this is more about how we go about repairing the machine. Now we've already shown you how sluggish that is. Now some people would just probably take this plate off here, polish up the rivets, put a bit of lube on them and away they go. But look, we prefer to do a more thorough job, and we feel the way we do it, we'll never have to touch that again. Now, whether you agree with that or not, it's entirely up to you, but that's the way we choose to do things. So all we're going to do now is unsolder the wires on the coil. So we'll just do that. There you go. And there. And they're off. Now what we'll do, we'll take the clips out of each side. Someone's been into the wiring loom here at some stage. And that's all good. We'll put them in there. Now the whole unit will just hinge out. You've got it in your hand. Now this wire here, it just broke off. Let's show you that. It just broke clean off there. That's the grounding for the lights, the player lights, ball in play, etc. So that'll have to get soldered back on. Now all we do is simply undo these screws here. Now it's not relevant at this point in time where that goes, because we've already covered that in other videos. So you need to watch those videos to get an understanding of player units. It's no good repeating ourselves. I'm using a number 8 screwdriver in these screws, even though they don't look like it. They do take a number 8 screwdriver. I'll take those out. Now the plate's off. And of course we've shown you this before, but we like to make sure these pins move up and down freely. They're not too bad, but that'll all get cleaned up. Now you need to get yourself a 1/8 Allen key wrench. Undo this screw here. And there's generally one on the other opposite side. That one was loose on that side. The spider comes straight off. Get yourself a 1/4 inch spin tight to take these off. Now that plate comes away like that. Now the only thing to do now before we have the whole frame in our hand, we turn it up this way and we have 2 screws here. Now all you need to do is loosen those, because they're and we've got 2 nuts up here. There are washers on the back of those nuts. Just be aware of that. They're 1/4 inch too, I failed to mention. It's so important to have the right tools. You can see everything sort of falling apart now. The fat fingers. Let's get that off. And I just dropped one. There it is there, easily recoverable. There's a spring washer in there, which I'll find in a minute. And you can see that just slides out of there then. See this? It just comes straight out. Right. So, we have this in our hand. Now I like to put those nuts back on those screws for safekeeping so that nothing falls out. That's just the underside of the switch lifters, and it'll make it easier for us to clean those switches and everything later on. Now what we have to do now is pull the player unit apart for cleaning. Now once again, we've shown this in an earlier video, so I don't feel it's necessary to do that again. Once we get this player unit apart, what we'll be doing is putting it in the ultrasonic cleaner, cleaning all the parts and reassembling it. So we'll put a new coil sleeve plunger in. Let's just have a look. Yep, here you go. Here's a very common problem. The drive arm upstop is broken. It's broken there at the bottom. You can see that, where it's actually broken. Get a bit of focus there. That's very common. Now that part number is A256, and whenever we do a PBR order, we generally try and top up with those. You can see that the coil plunger is filthy. That'll get cleaned and buffed. And look at this. This is typical too. See the spring? It's just been butchered. So we'll re-loop and recut that spring. And we'll probably have a sticky drive pull maybe. How's this? This isn't too bad. The reset arm, not too bad at all. Drive pull, let's have a look. It's a bit grindy. Oh, hang on, I'm trying to do this. It's not real good, but we'll fix it up. So this player unit will clean up nicely. And that's, once again, that's where that wire came off. So we've got to remember to put that back on. I just thought I'd show you this coil casing. This one's okay, but they often break across the top here. We see a lot that have been welded and so on. Now they are available as a spare part from PBR, and they come complete with a coil stop. They're not cheap, but you know, if you need them, you need them. All the thumping of the plunger breaks them off. Look at the condition of the coil sleeve. And there's the spring washer that sits underneath there. Don't lose that. That helps the rebound of it all. So you can sort of see why pulling them apart rather than just band-aiding affect them is important. let me just show you the plunger. There it is. Look how dirty that is. Terrible. It's all, so someone's oiled that, and you're not supposed to do that. There's the cams. They're not too bad. Now remember, people, remember when you see white and red cams, they're 2-player, because they use player 3 and 4 to reset the game, and that's the 2 red ones. So they replace the Z1 and Z2 on a 4-player game. There's the escapement wheel out. It's not too bad. What you've got to look for, and I mean I can't like do it now, but you've got to look for worn tooth. You know, you sometimes get a badly worn tooth, and if you do, the pawl sticks on it, and you've got to file those out. Once again, we've covered that. We try and cover as much as we can. Now, here's the pawl. It was a bit hard to see before. This is why I thought I'd show you this. It's still under spring tension. It's a bit bitey. Okay, and here's this is the reset arm. It's not too bad. And once again, here's the broken drive arm upstop. Now, the reason they break is as the plunger's going up and down all the time, thump, 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 and it's hitting the coil, and the coil stop is being struck by the plunger. Of course, it's wearing down over the years. Only marginally, but it's enough, because when you readjust those, once again, you just put a piece of paper in between there when it's up, in its up position, make sure you can drag it out. But of course, no one bothers to readjust them, and I guess I can understand why. Okay, so yeah, and that spring, as I showed you, that's terrible. I mean, whoever did that, they just, I don't know. I was taught differently. I get it, these things take money and they want them up and running as quick as possible, but you know what? The time it took some mechanic to do that, I could have repaired that spring in under a minute and re-looped it in the days when I used to have fingernails, and away you go, and the spring would be fine. But they do that to overcome sticking parts and everything like that. So there's a lot to it, isn't there? You know, if you're going to do a good job. So this is a good reason why you need to pull these things apart. This particular coil stop is indented in that badly. It's totally flogged. So that's going to need to be replaced. I mean, when you consider, here's what a new one looks like, if we can get this in picture. I mean, there's a new one. Well, that's actually second hand, it's not brand new, but it's pretty good. We'll put that in. And also what we found, I've seen a few of these now, the actual reset arm has got a groove in it. It's hard to show you, isn't it? Hang on, we'll go this way. See the groove in it? Just in this area here. That's worn out. That's going to need replacing. So, by pulling this apart fully, as we advocate, we've found what? 4 worn parts. We've found the broken drive arm upstop, really badly worn coil stop. What was the other part we found? We found the we found the drive arm is worn out, and of course the coil sleeve is worn out. And I've had to pay more attention to the coil plunger. I've already put it in the bath, in a kerosene bath. So it's well worth doing what we advocate to get good results in your repair. So we've now pretty much completed the Backbox mech. We've gone over everything, checked all the relays. Every single screw on the relays was loose, really loose. So it pays to check those because that throws out your switch adjustment. Just reiterating, Spank is standing on the player unit. Now, we mentioned earlier in the video that we may have to attend to the escapement wheel with a file. Well, guess what? We did. The wear in that drive, or reset arm, I should say, the reset arm where it had the groove in it. This is the reset arm here, once again. And you can clearly see the groove in there. It's pretty bad. Well, I've seen slightly worse. And I've just found out, just as a matter of interest for everybody, you can actually buy those reset arms. There are 3 styles of those reset arms. That's a non-resetting one I just showed you, simply because it didn't have the hook bit, the bit that hooks into the reset coil at the top. And there's 2 other styles as well, 3 styles all up of those. That's what I'm trying to say. They're clearly in the 1978 parts catalogue or earlier, if you want to have a look. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised to find they're available, because I think we've had about maybe 3 in the last 12 months that have been really cactus. Okay, so we're just soldering the wires back onto the score reels now, and once we've done that, we'll put this mech back in the light box and put it aside. So we've got the machine up on its legs now, and what are we going to do, Graham? We're going to do the motorboard or the
probably the Playfield. We can strip the Playfield down, I think, and I can start on the timber and getting things happening, looking pretty. And fortunately enough, this machine was I used to service this machine on site 10 years ago, and it's been to the goat shed before, so it shouldn't be too hard to fix.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, so yeah, it was in a coffee shop apparently, in a suburb not too far from here, and the guy obviously moved on, and the
guy, I used to go around there and fix it all the time, but the guy, I kept telling him it's got to come out to the goat shed because it just needs the motorboard stripped down and the Playfield and underneath the Playfield, and a lot of work in the back box, and he just kept refusing. I said, well, if you don't bring it out, I'm not coming out anymore to fix it. And he just had to bite the bullet, and he come out and brought it out just here for a week or so, and he took it out on site back to where it was, and never got another call from it. Just went going good for another 2 or 3 years, and then he must have sold it.
Right.
And it was on dollar play. I put a 10-cent coin in mech that I changed to $1, but every now and then you could still put 10 cents in and it'd pay for the game. So I'd go around there and he'd get the cash box out and he'd go, oh, bloody things, it's full of 10-cent pieces instead of $1 coins. So he wasn't happy about that. But what could you do?
Yeah, true. Would have need to put one of those coin mechs in with the that can run them off 12 volts.
Yeah.
And then it would have been right.
Over and
sorry. No, you're right.
Oh, we just had a slight interruption there. Someone just came in, but that's okay. So now we'll be moving on to the Playfield, and as per usual, we give everything a visual inspection. And what we've found here is that someone's put bridge rectifiers in on the flippers to convert them to DC, and I guess that's okay. I personally don't favour doing that on an electromechanical game, but to each their own. So, as Graham mentioned, he's done work on this a long time ago, and the present owner, we don't know how long he's owned it, whether he's bought it off the person Graham used to service or what happened, but here it is, we've got it here now. So all we have to do now is remove the Jones plugs to take the Playfield out, and we'll sit that in the cradle and go through it. We'll then go through the motorboard. Doesn't look too bad. There's the score motor there, it's reasonably clean on top. we'll just go and check all the wires are in place and go through all the relays. And this game here is from, what, 74 or something like that. It's got the trip bank in the front there. I think the last game that used that bank was Gottlieb's Far Out. Then they moved on to the AX relay. Obviously, I understand that had something to do with costs. Obviously, that big bank costs more to produce than an AX relay, but of course, AX relays in the long run are much, much more troublesome. So, be it. That's what we've got to live with. So we'll remove that motorboard out of the game as well. They've got a step-down transformer down there in the front of it. I'm not sure whether we'll leave that there or we probably will.
We'll like to fix it somehow.
Yeah, we would prefer that not to be floating around. So we'll get to work and do the Playfield. We'll do the motorboard. We've got to clean the top of the Playfield.
And, someone's taken out the slam switch underneath the Playfield for some reason.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that people have done. Once again, you just don't know why people do certain things. What are those flipper links like, Graham?
It looks like it had, I reckon it's had a flipper kit in it not long ago, looking into that interstroke switch.
Yeah, okay. We'll check the links when we get it out.
Yeah.
So Big Brave, it's got drop targets, it's got a vary target, it's got a few little
Yeah, it's a very good game.
features and functions on it.
We see a lot of them.
Yeah, everyone will remember we had a big Indian in here not long ago, and everyone might remember the video on the bad drop target on the wear on it. So here we go, we've got that over there in the corner. So
Very dirty.
that machine had been flogged to death.
Yeah, it needs a little big tidy up with those wires up the back.
So we'll complete the work that we need to do, and then we'll do a separate video on putting it all back together in the future. So look out for that, because that will be able to be give us troubleshooting and everything. So yeah, so thanks for watching, and this has been another Goat Shed presentation.